Yeah, not bad. How's the injury coming along?
Injury is horrible, man. Ripped Achilles tendon in three pieces. Right now, you've seen the cast, so you know how it goes.
Yeah, bloody hell, yeah. No, ruptured Achilles, man. It's not
Yes.
good. So how'd you end up doing that?
I ended up doing that on the soccer match, I've been a linesman and I was sprinting. About you have to follow the line. I was sprinting and something snapped. Yeah,
God.
non-contact injury. Nobody hit me, nobody took me down, nobody did nothing to me. It was just like a non-contact injury. So now I know how you feel, man.
It's not the one, mate. But hey, listen, just stick to the recovery plan, the physio, and everything will come together. It's. But yeah, Achilles is not good. But at the end of the day, you just got to do what you got to do to get back.
Yeah, they told me 3 months, 4 months, but Achilles is dangerous. They say like not as hard as knee, but quite close.
Yeah, yeah. I know about that, man, because I know a couple of my friends have had injuries like that, and but yeah, like I say, as long as you do all the right things, just keep strengthening it. Like I say, you should be back to maybe playing soccer again. Who knows, or at least you'll still be kicking things again. So
I will, no problem to that. At least I just want a ref for now, and about
that's it,
MMA,
man.
we'll see.
Yeah,
Yes?
exactly. Enjoy a bit of the time off, I guess.
Yeah, enjoying the time off. Can't criticize. Anyway, I see your career is skyrocketing again, definitively.
Yeah, it's coming along. It's coming together. Things are starting to come true that I'm thinking in my head again. So yeah, I'm on the right path. I've learned a lot of lessons. I've become a better person, better athlete, better competitor. So this is it. Now we just keep moving forward.
So, how did you get a short notice contract, a short notice call for Tyson Pedro fight? You accepted the fight in his home country, which was many people were like changing time zones might affect your choice. So, what do you think about that? Is it very hard to change a time zone, considering you
Yeah,
live in the UK?
yeah. I mean, look. Before I used to think it's just a myth, but I do think it definitely plays a factor. I mean, considering I got to the event I got to Australia on Wednesday morning at 4 a.m. Yeah, Wednesday morning at 4 a.m. and I fought on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. So I only had 1, 2, 3, less than 4 days before I had to fight. So, it was obviously, I mean, look, I went in there and did the job. I had to go and fight. So, but I did after the fight, after, sort of, gathering my thoughts and kind of thinking about the fight, I do realize like I probably got a little bit more tired than I normally do. And I think that definitely had something to do with obviously having to travel such a long way, 18 hours. And then not only that, obviously having to adjust to the time zone, which I think is like an 8-hour time difference or something like that. So yeah, it was difficult, but at the end of the day, whatever obstacle we're faced with, we just, we get through it, we jump over it, we don't let it get to our heads, So I still felt good, like I felt in good. It's good that I was in such good shape though, leading into that fight, because if I wasn't, I mean, it probably would have been a lot harder for me cardio-wise to deal with everything. So yeah, everything went exactly to plan. But yeah, I mean, how it came about was just literally I was thinking of I was looking at these fights on Google, like, oh, what's the next fights at light heavyweight, and I didn't have a fight booked at the time, so I was just thinking, oh well, I'm just gonna have a look at see which ones are potentially coming up that I could get onto, and it was just very very lucky. I just come off of a big knockout finish in the fourth round, and they needed a guy that could step up on 2 weeks' notice, and the only guy that could do it was me. So yeah, everything. Listen, when preparation meets opportunity, it's a beautiful thing. So the fact that I was ready, the fact that I was training, meant that I was able to take a fight like that. So that's why I'm grateful that I was able to put on a good performance. Even considering the circumstances that I was presented with.
This is a bit not nice question, but did you even have a game plan for the fight, considering it was a super short notice? Like you said, oh man, I'm fighting like in 3-4 days. What am I gonna do?
We looked at the certain things that he liked to do. So my dad already started watching like literally religiously every single day, trying to figure out his movements. And then we just went off of that basically. What we had in 2 weeks is what we came up with for the fight. And sometimes in MMA you've got to be able to adapt on the fly. You've got to be able to go with the waves of what's going on. Sometimes you can't always plan everything. You've just got to be able to improvise, come up with something on the dot, there on the spot. And sometimes in fighting, like if you imagine you're going into an army, like you're on a battlefield, you don't know what all these people are going to be like. You don't know what their strengths and weaknesses are. You just got to go out there and try and kill them. So it's the same thing here. Do you know what I mean? You doesn't matter what they're good, and they could change their game plan as well. I've taken a very different approach. I'm not thinking now, I've got to have a specific game plan. Of course they have tendencies, but you've got to be able to adapt in the fight just in case they change something. So he's obviously improved certain areas that he didn't do before. Same like when I fought Khalil Roundtree, he was a completely different person when he fought me. So you can't always go off of what they've done before. So yeah, I mean, I was confident in my own abilities anyways when I took that fight. So really what he didn't affect me. It was more, what can I do,
Here is a fan question. Tyson Pedro is not a guy who fights regularly. He was on a very long layoff prior to that fight, and he was not fighting every year or every month or every 3 months. Were you pretty much surprised when Tyson Pedro tried to drag you to the ground in round 1?
I think tactically that's something that they probably wanted to try and do, but I think from what it seems like he wanted to try and get me out of there quite early. So he thought, he's never been on the ground, no one's really whenever he's been, he gets taken down in occasions. And in my previous fights I've always just gotten up to my feet, so he's thinking, jiu-jitsu is my main game because he's a black belt, so I'm going to use that to my advantage. And obviously I'd been working guillotine escapes for, especially those last 2 weeks. That's all I was doing was, really getting good with the guillotine escapes. And that's why I was able to get out of his guillotine, because, they were saying, he's got it on pretty tight. I felt his hands like try and grasp against my neck, but I knew what I was doing. So, I think if he was going to win anywhere, in his head, it probably would have been on the ground, because he knows I'm a good striker. And I think another thing that probably threw him off was the fact that, again, switching stances. But if he saw my last 2 fights, he would have seen that. So, obviously I know he's confident in his striking, but there was sort of like, we don't really know too much about Modestas since his injury, because there wasn't that much, much to go off of, So when I came into the fight, I knew my striking was better. Obviously he's very good. He's very all-rounded, but if he was going to win anywhere, it was going to be on the floor. And when that didn't work for him, I think that maybe took it out of him a little bit.
Yeah, pretty much. I've seen how were you shrimping out of the guillotine attempt. We do it like every training session, and the first thing that my coach says is like, shrimp to the other side, keep your hips up. Do not let him trap you, because if he traps you, if you fall into his guard, it's very hard to evade. And you didn't fall into his guard. So I've seen that he was unable to keep you in the full guard. But anyway, once you stood up, you started throwing some big punches, big kicks, and noticing about round 2, we've seen some really nasty punches. So it seems like his head movement was off point in round 2. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he I think he seemed considerably more tired after he tried the takedown attempt and in the first round, because I landed some good punches at the end of that round. Second round was a little bit, kind of here or there, and I think he was probably surprised that I was able to sink some of those punches through his guard, because obviously he moves well, he's got good low kicks and stuff like this. So I think it just probably, like I say, it just threw him off that he was getting caught with particular shots that he may not get caught with usually. So that could have definitely played a factor. And then third round, he was definitely like quite tired, and I think due to jet lag and whatnot, I think maybe I was a little bit more tired than I normally would have. Otherwise, I would have tried to get a little bit more in that last round. But, I did what I had to do, obviously, I knew I'd landed the better shots by the end of the fight.
That is outstanding, pretty much. And in round 3, like, everything started to come together. He looked like a very, very tired man. I don't know, maybe he wasted too much energy in the first 2. But you seemed pretty much okay with cardio. Even majority of my chat were like, what the heck is wrong with Modestas? He is not a 5-round guy. And I'm like, no, he is a 5-round guy. Have you watched Chuck Campbell fight? And one of guys wrote, wait, whenever I was watching him against Alexei Chuk, he was tired in round 3. Like, and I said, no, you didn't watch his last fights, obviously.
Yeah, well, obviously my first UFC run was very lackluster. So, obviously people only judge you by your most recent fights. So, yeah, obviously if they would have saw the Campbell fight, they would have saw that I could have went 5 rounds, absolutely no problem. I've went 5 rounds, or I've up to the championship rounds a couple of times in my career, but I was a little bit more tired than normal, and I genuinely believe that jet lag is a real thing, because I even think when I fought Oleksiejczuk, I noticed my cardio wasn't quite as good, and I think coming to Vegas on the Monday. And again, you're fighting within 4 days is very difficult. I think you do have to get there a little bit earlier to adjust to the time to the time zone, and Australia being that far ahead of time. And I remember the first training session that I had when I got there on Wednesday. I didn't sleep at all. Right, I didn't eat any food for about 2 days because I didn't want to eat the airplane food because I had to cut weight. And then, I had to go and train with barely any energy. And then, I just managed to get my energy back a little bit for the second day. And then obviously the next day was the weigh-in day. Was the day before weigh-in. So everything happened like very, very quickly. So, and even in the locker room before the fight, I felt like very lethargic, like just because obviously the time difference and this and that. So, these are things that obviously we just don't mention, but, potentially they could have played a factor, because I know my cardio is good. I know I can go 3 rounds really, really hard, but obviously, you got adrenaline, you got nerves and all these other things that come together in the fight as well. That makes it a lot more difficult. So, I probably was more tired than I normally get, during my training sessions, but this is something that I know I'm going to look to eradicate in the future. And one thing that I'm going to do is I've made sure that I'm going to get, if I'm traveling abroad, I'll get there earlier. This was like a very last minute thing. So, obviously we just had to do what we had to do. I'm lucky my cardio was good enough to even be able to do the 3 rounds considering those conditions,
Yeah, but as you're growing as a fighter, you're turning more tactical. You're fainting way more. You've noticed that.
Yeah.
And how important it is, like fainting? How important it is on the scale from 0 to 10 when you're climbing to the top of the division?
I think it's a massive part of the game. I would say it's like an 8 out of 10. In terms of importance. It's very, maybe even higher than that. Like genuinely, like you see a lot of guys stay very, fainting also helps you to move your head, like helps you move so that you can get out of the way of punches. You can't get out of the way of every punch. When you're in the pocket, sometimes you can't avoid it, but it helps you to set things up. It helps to keep the person on their toes, and it makes you just more unpredictable, and, it can help you to set up bigger shots. So the fact that people don't use it these days, that's what's going to make you, that's what's going to get you left behind if you're not using it. It's something that not a lot of people utilize. And look, Adesanya is very good with his feints, even Pereira good with his feints. You got guys at the top, even John Jones shows something up the middle and then throws something else. George St. Pierre was very good with that as well. So it's becoming a lot more of an important factor nowadays than it used to, especially because the level of the game is going up so much higher. So you've got to think of intricate ways how you can, be above the competition. And one of the ways is obviously through feinting. Like if you keep the person guessing and on their toes, then it's going to make it harder for them to fire off their offensive movements, which puts more into your advantage. You can't necessarily fake all the time, but you need to use it to be able to set things up. I think it's great for setting things up. And like I say, as the game evolves, you're going to see a lot more people use it.
Another question from the fan. How much of a pressure it was to fight in front of a crowd who hates you? I'm reading question. Yes, in front of the crowd who hates you.
Do you know what? I didn't feel any pressure, weirdly enough. I kind of enjoyed it, weirdly. Like, I don't know. I switched my mind frame from, oh, they're booing you, to let's go. Do you know what I mean? I was kind of embracing it. I was kind of like even sort of egging it on. I was applauding it. Like, let's go. Come on, give me your best. You know what I mean? But it shows the passion of the crowd. It shows the passion of the people fighting in front of a massive crowd. Although they were booing me, bro, it gave me energy just knowing that they were all there. You know what I mean? They're all there to witness that I'm going against their dude and that I'm like the bad guy. You have to embrace the bad guy role. And I think that's what I did in that fight. And I enjoyed it. I didn't feel any pressure. Like, I took it on 2 weeks notice. So look, all you can do is give your best. But I knew that my skill set was better than his. So I just had to go out there and show it. Essentially, this was my time to show what I'm really made of. When you've got that much fire in your belly to prove to people what you're made of, it gives you a little bit of an extra fire. And I think that's what I had in my stomach as I was going out there, walking out, even with the booze. Mate, the whole experience was amazing. And I got cheered on the way out. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen when you got cheered, and I mean, you obviously won all 3 rounds. I forgot how judges scored it, but everybody said that you won all 3 rounds, if I remember well, right?
So one judge gave me 30-27 and the others gave 29-28. So I think they probably gave him the first round.
Yeah, first round was quite a close, but second, third were like massive difference.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, there wasn't any takedowns, and I landed more strikes, so it kind of made sense.
Yeah, but damage is parameter number 1. As much as I know,
exactly.
According to the rules, I was reading those rule books like millions of times. For example, now we had Jocelyn Edwards, Lucia Pudilova, Lucia Pudilova loses the fight. I was like, what the heck? She landed more clean strikes in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, no, there's been some crazy decisions, man. I don't know what these judges are looking at sometimes, but it seems like now damage is more of a big factor. Like when I fought Oleksiejczuk, it seemed like cage control was the biggest factor, or I don't know. Like it's just weird. They changed their scoring criteria over the course of over the course of the years. Now really is damage, because some people have had more significant strikes but have ended up losing fights just because they got hit with harder shots or they got damaged more. And I think that's the way it should be. If you're just tapping someone, does that really count as a significant strike? It's weird how they score those things. So I think now the way that they're doing it, like I say, if you hurt someone more, you should get more judging. But yeah, I think always there's going to be problems with the judging criteria, because listen, from one person to the next, you're going to have completely different opinions.
Yeah, that is absolutely true, and especially because you fought in Australia, but judging was pretty much on point, which was amazing, pretty much amazing. So right now you are training. I assume you're getting ready for the next fights or whatever comes up. Right now you don't have the fight booked, so we'll see who might be free. But right now at 205, I don't know. Majority of fighters are busy. As much as I know, majority of them are having the fight set.
Yeah, don't worry. We've got something in the works. So contracts haven't been signed yet, but we have something in the works. So hopefully within the next week, you lot should find out the information. But yes, I am training and I'm staying in shape.
Well, that would be awesome, definitely. I hope it's not going to be again another short notice combat.
Oh no, it won't. It won't be short notice. We're done taking short notice fights for the time being, bro. So we want as much in our favor as possible now that we've secured the contract. So
yeah, I hope you have 4. Do you have 4 fight contract or it's like something better version? 4. 3 more fights. Okay, you won 1. I mean, so how is it in UFC? Like if you keep winning, they offer you a new contract, or how it goes? Do they have a strict rule or?
Yeah, look, it depends on how you fight. You know, if even if you lose the first three and you put a really good performance in your last one, sometimes they'll re-sign you. Again, it's you're only as good as your last fight. You know, I've seen guys that have lost the first three, won their last one, and they ended up getting another contract. You got guys like me who ends up getting the 50 grand bonus from my first fight, but then losing the last three and getting cut. So it's like, you know, the criteria I think is based off of how well you perform. You know, if you perform well but you're losing, they may re-sign you. But usually three losses means you're not going to get signed. So usually if you win two and lose two, they'll probably re-sign you. But obviously we're not looking to do that. But we're looking to win all four. But that's usually how it goes. If you lose three, it doesn't look good most of the time. And sometimes they can cut you after two fights if you've just done really badly. Like if like there's been some fighters where they've really not done well or they've got beaten pretty bad and they just cut them after two fights. So it's really just dependent on how well you do. Like I said, performance counts for everything. You need to win, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely. Would you like to add something else, considering that you don't have a fight set? Anything else you'd like to add?
Just stay tuned. We've got big things in the works. Obviously we've got a fight that's in the works at the minute. I'm gonna be putting a lot more content out as time goes on, but just keep watching because the Baltic Gladiator has got many more things up his sleeve, and I'm looking to really make waves in the UFC this time round. You know, I've learned a lot of lessons. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I'm ready to show the new improved version. And you know, I know every fighter says the same thing when it comes to that, but you know, I really do feel like my struggles and my adversity has helped me to become better in a lot of areas, and in one way is to bring out the darkness within me because I'm just a nice guy, you know, this that. No, you need to have that switch, you know, and I think that's definitely starting to come out, and already in the last couple of fights. So I'm looking forward to bring that out more because it's almost like an alter ego. I turn from Modestas to the Baltic Gladiator when it goes inside the cage, and I really do feel that now. So I'm going to continue to push that forward. But I've got to thank obviously all my teammates, obviously my dad. I've got a lot of close family and friends that are always supporting me and always being there for me. And you know, I love everyone. And thank you, my man, for always supporting me no matter what. And through thick and thin, you've always been there for me. So I've got to give you a lot of credit as well, bro. You're doing absolutely amazing on your channel. I'm very sorry that you got injured with your leg. It's a bloody bummer, but look, you'll be back. You'll be recovered. You're going to make it back. And yeah, man, just keep posting the amazing content that you constantly do.
Of course I will, man. You know that I never give up. Even now, right? I do train every day, but I don't want to record myself every day. You know, nobody wants
Yeah,
to watch you training like off the couch. Nobody wants to watch it all the way. But I actually can train, but I cannot move my legs. So you've been through that. You know how it looks
yeah,
like. I've seen some
yeah,
clips where your daddy was holding your pads while you were unable to
yeah,
walk. So you
yeah.
were doing that every single day, or?
I'll do weights one day, then I'll do pads the other day. So I kind of just switch from in between. Yeah, just trying to stay fit in other areas, really. Yeah. So essentially, one day pads, one day weights, one day pads, one day weights.
Must have
Yeah.
been a hard run, man.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't easy, but it was less easy. Like it was more difficult mentally than it was like physically for me to sit on a chair and do movements. I'm like, okay, this is part of the process. The fact that I'm even training gave me endorphins, you know what I mean? It gave me happiness, you know, it makes you feel good. You got the blood rushing through your body. You're lifting something, you're doing something instead of just sitting in bed bloody, you know, with your leg up in a massive cast. But for me it was more mental to try and I had a lot of problems, man. You know, like yeah, wow, the leg being bad, but I had so many other things going on outside of that that made it really difficult. And then obviously when I ended up getting cut, like it's probably the worst place I've been in. I started not really even being myself. Like I started going into like a very downward spiral, you know. But like I say, with the love of family and people that support you, I was able to make it through day by day. But I think when you see improvements physically day by day, you make improvements mentally day by day, So I think that's the main thing, is just to think not the grand scheme of things, or don't think of the end goal straight away. Think, okay, what can I do today? What can I do tomorrow? Don't think, what can I do in the next 5 weeks? Because that doesn't matter. It matters what you're doing today. So that's essentially what got me through. Because if I didn't think like that, I probably would have, I don't know, I just would have been very upset all the time. I was upset, but I had the motivation to do what I had to do on that particular day, which was enough to get me through. And then before I knew it, I was recovered. So it's just consistency, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about consistency. Definitely, it's all about consistency, dedication, etc. And of course, sometimes you just need to have hobbies. Sometimes you just need to have something to, for your spare time.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true, mate. A lot of Netflix was being watched, that's for sure. And a lot of books and a lot of watching fights. So,
well, my only drugs is UFC and Fight Pass, believe it or not.
Well, there you go. There you go, mate. Hey, listen, it's better than any other drug, bro. So I'll take that any day.
Yeah, me too. I just turn it on, but the problem is, I can't hold my leg on the elevated surface, because when I try, it hurts. Like, I can only sit normal, And You can watch Fight Pass like this, okay, the whole day. Just when I finish work, I'm like, okay, PC is here, okay, let the fight. Now, when somebody asks me, I know what happened like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. He's got all the archives up in his head already.
That is true, definitely, but at least it's gonna turn me into a better person, or
100%. You pick up things as well, and then when you're able to move again, it's like weird. You're watching these things just helps you to do it more when your leg has recovered. Like even just watching it just helps your mind muscle connection. So it's all useful stuff, man. 100%.
Yeah, for example, when I was writing one article, I was writing Carantillo versus Barboza, like to analyze the fight. And I didn't even watch their records. It was not required. And one guy asks, how do you know all of that? Hello, I'm training the sport. I'm not a guy who just sits and writes random shit.
100%, man. 100%. You're a doer, mate.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that you need to land with a big right if you don't want to get countered by a right spinning heel kick. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, I mean.
That is very true. That is very true, my man.
Yeah, just need to understand the game, and that's it. Thank you so much for the amazing interview.
No worries.
And of course, always thank you for being supportive towards me. I hope in like 3-4 hours it's gonna be up. I will post it like a premiere. Need to create it now.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Like I said, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I'm glad that at least you've had the operation. Now you're just sitting, got to recover. So keep doing your thing, man. Always show my love and support, bro. And I'm sure we'll chat again very soon.
Yeah, thank you. See you again when you win your next fight. Of course, you're gonna
100%. 100%. We'll get another interview after my next win. Yeah.
Let's go, man. Have a great day. Thank you.
My man. Have a lovely day.
All right.
Take